All right, here we are. Happy Friday. And this is where we're headed today. All right. We've got a few different things that you are going to be working on. So, first things first, take out your planner for fourth quarter. Get that out, bright green in color. If you don't have your planner, you also need something to write with and ask for a post it note so you can transfer this. All right. It is Friday. Find this spot. Depending on where or how you're using your planner, whether computer science is going in this first open spot or the second one today, here's what I want you to put in here. Circle, it's all online. Quick quiz, I'll talk about that in a moment. You're going to finish lesson number 4, those of you that are still working through the levels on that. And then I'm going to open up lesson number 5 for you to start working on lesson 5. All right? So, quick quiz, finish lesson 4, start lesson 5. Pause the video until everyone's got that down, and then I'll tell you what comes next. Okay, so you know that in this class, I don't really give tests. Everything is project based. So when I call something a quick quiz, it really is just a checkpoint. It's going in the formative part of your grade. It will be 4 questions. You don't have to get worked up about it. All right. It's just a way for me to see, are you really understanding what we're doing now with placing shapes, programming them? Do you get X and Y and the positioning of things on the screen? Okay, cool. Lesson 4 is all about now adding in width and height to your rectangles and ellipses. So what I'm going to have you do in just a moment is we're going to show some extra code that you're going to run into. And then when you get to lesson 5, I do want to talk a little bit about what lesson 5 is about. Lesson 5 is about variables and how we use them in programming. Now, I'm guessing in math, you've seen things like this, all right? Letters are used to represent values that can change, and that's how we define variables in math. Computer science, similar but different, okay? And we'll get more into that definition next time, but what I really want you to understand now is when you assign a variable, you give it a name. Now, you can use things like X and Y, but honestly, we usually use a name or words that will make sense for what we're using it for, okay? Take a look at this program. Now, you're like, holy cow, there's a lot on here. There are a whole bunch of these cute little purple dots, okay, that I've got programmed on the screen. In the middle is your toolbox. This looks very different in here right now. We're not quite to having all of these options for you to program with. Okay, so don't worry about that. But what I do want you to see is that in the programming section right here, that there is this first line called var, which stands for variable. I named it dot, and then I assigned a value of 20 for it, okay? Now, what happened is when I programmed all of these ellipses and I put them at different X and Y positions all over the screen, I didn't put a number in for the width and for the height, which are the last 2 parameters here. Instead, I kept typing the word dot because that's what I used for the variable. Oh, now, why would you do that? Well, we'll get into the beauty of variables and things and how they make things easier because you can control their value from one spot and use them multiple times in the program. But for today, the big thing that you're going to run into is when you name a variable, just like you saw in the program here, variable, give it a name, equals some value. There are some rules we have to pay attention to for how you name them. The first one, when you give it a name, now I picked mine easy, I just said dot, but let's say I wanted a little lengthier name to it, I just can't have spaces. So if I was going to say like player 1, I couldn't type player space 1, it won't allow me to do that. We have to condense it with no spaces. Second thing, that's a rule about naming variables, is you cannot start it with a number. You can have numbers in the name, you just can't start it like 1 player, 2 player, 3 player. You could certainly go player 1, player 2, player 3, but no spaces, okay? The last thing that's really, really touchy is whatever you name it has to match exactly with how you type it in later. So for example, if I decided to name my variable something like player 1, and I named it that way up top, and then I came over here and typed player 1, your program won't run because these are different. And you're like, what? Why is that different? Uppercase, lowercase. We've got to watch for that. It gets that nitpicky. Okay? Cool. So when you get to lesson 5, there's a little preview. We'll dive in a little deeper and run some demos so it makes more sense. But for now, just watch how you name them. All right. Next, what I would like you to do, I want to demonstrate and have you work with me while we go through this to look at a couple of extra pieces of code that are introduced at the end of lesson 4. So here's what I need you to do. Open your Chromebooks, sign into code.org, and I need you to get to lesson number 4, the very last level. I'll ask the sub, please pause the video, wait till everybody's here, and then we're going to move on. Okay, first one, letter A. When you click in here and it page loads, it starts talking about a new piece of code called regular polygon. Now, I've got to stop and think here because I taught math for a zillion years, but I'm not sure when the last time you talked about polygons, let alone regular polygons. So we got to make sure you understand what this is. Okay, so far we've only done ellipses, which are circles and ovals, or rectangles, which are squares or longer rectangles. So, what does this piece of code now show us? And let me get that guy out of there. So, a regular polygon means that it's a closed figure. It has however many sides, 3 or more, and then each of the sides have an equal length, and the interior angles are also equal in measurement. Sometimes we use the word congruent. So, here's what this means. Okay, when I hit run, you see some shapes on the screen. I think that's as big as I can make it right now. Okay, each of these shapes has a certain number of sides, and all the side lengths are exactly the same length. So take a look at line 1. Okay, regular polygon. Now I'm going to hover over this here, and I don't know if you can see it at the bottom, but there are 4 spots, which we call parameters, for you to put values. First one is X location, Y location. Those are the coordinates. The third one is how many sides. Okay, how many sides. And the last one is how big do you want it? What is the size in pixels? So here's what, let's take a look. Line 1, notice it says regular polygon at 50, 75, 3. That's how many sides. There's your triangle. Can turn the grid on if you want. Line 2, regular polygon, there's your position, 4 sides. Ta-da! There it is right there, a square, because it's 4 sides, all sides equal, interior angles equal. The third one, regular polygon at 50 and 175, so right about here, 7 sides with like a radius of 50. 7 sides. Oh, there's a bonus. See if you can figure out what we call a 7-sided polygon. I think I know of 2 names. All right, and then the last one, number 4, has 11 sides. Notice the more sides it has, it starts to almost look round because each of these sides gets smaller and smaller when we're using the same size of the regular polygon. Okay, go ahead and drag a new block of code out here. Okay, and that X value, let's push it way over to the other side of the screen. So instead of 200, call it 300. All right. You pick how many sides you want. Looks like it defaulted to 5, which would be pentagon. Pick whatever you want there. Maybe I'll do something like 8 octagon. And then instead of 50, go ahead. I'm going to use like 85 or something just so it's a little different. There you go. Octagon, 8 sides, congruent in length, same angles, size 85. So that means from here, it's center out to there, 80 pixels. Cool. Go ahead, pause the video, take a few minutes to kind of investigate this a little bit, and then when we start up, we're going to move on to letter B. All right, B, new block shape. So it was kind of cool to see that you could draw triangles, you know, pentagons, hexagons, all those other things. However, what if I wanted a triangle that wasn't an equilateral triangle? What if I wanted a right triangle? Can't do that with that regular polygon command or block. So here it says shape lets you draw any kind of shape. All you need to do is basically when I put it on there, you'll see it says X1, Y1, X2, Y2. You're just picking points and then playing connect the dots. Okay? So on this one, it says read the code that makes the picture. So we're going to have a red shape and a blue shape. Okay? And then finish programming it so it looks like this up here. When I hit run, this is what I see. Okay, cool. So even though it looks like there's a triangle here on the left side, it really isn't there. It's just empty space. We need to program it. So grab shape. And again, pause as you need to. So let's start in this corner. Turn on the grid. And the nice thing is you're going to see coordinates up here. That'll help you out. So I want to start at 0, 0. Cool. Since that first box says 200, I'm going to get that out of there. And I want this to be 0. Okay. Now, the next one, I also want to be 0 because that's X and Y. Cool. All right. The next one, the next point is going to be right here at the exact center, which is 200. 200. Okay. So far it should go 0, 0, 200, 200. And then the last one is down here at 0, 400. So I'm going to make this one 0 and that one 400. Cool. 0, 0, 200, 200, 0, 400. Hit reset run. There you go. Oops, they wanted us to have green there. Sorry. So grab fill color. Put it before that shape that you just drew and change it to green. Cool. Add kind of the same thing, but the triangle on the other side that will make yellow. So this time I'll make sure I get yellow. Oops. Get yellow. And then shape. All right. I'm going to start up at this point or this corner, which has coordinates 400, 0. So first value, 400 and 0. Then zip, go to the middle. 200, 200. And then this bottom one is at 400, 400, which is right there. Ta-da. There you go. Now, stop. Don't leave this part. I just want you to watch. I can draw another shape, and it doesn't have to be only 3 points. You can expand and do as many points as you want. For example, I'm going to draw like a kite shape here. I'm going to make it pink, deep pink color. So I'm going to start up here, which is at 200 for X and 50 for Y. 200 for X, 50 for Y. Then I'm going to come over here, and that looks like the point 300 for X, 300, and 150 for Y. Okay, Then I'm going to come down to the very bottom in the middle. I'm going to draw a kite, and that is 200 for x and 400 for y. Now, I've got to come back here to get, I got to get this last point here, but I ran out of spaces. Hit the arrow twice to open up another x and y point. This one, instead of 300 and 150, it'll be at 100 and 150. This should be a bright pink kite in the middle. There you go. Looks very cool. Take the grid off to make it look even nicer. You could play around some more if you wanted to with, we could change the color of all those borders in there. That command is stroke. If I make that something like purple and then make it a little more obvious with a stroke weight of like 6, watch what happens here. Ooh, cool. Okay, nice. So here's your job. Oh, do we have to do one more? No, this is good. So here's your job today. All right. You are going to go into Schoology. This quick quiz, 4 questions, that's all. Okay, so it should go pretty quickly. If you are a little uncertain about, ooh, I'm not sure if this is exactly right, keep your tab for code.org open. Go to letter E, because on letter E, this is just a blank space that you can go and try to play around, re-look at things that maybe you had. It wouldn't have that in there. You can recreate what you see on the quiz to kind of double check and make sure you've got your coordinates and such right. Okay? All right. So quick quiz, then finish lesson 4. Get through all of that. And then lesson 5 will be open for you. Go ahead and get started. I'll warn you, it's going to be more challenging. And let me remind you of something. In Schoology, every single lesson in Schoology, I have a folder that has videos that show you exactly what to do for every single level. Okay? So, for example, I'll use B-Day because I know I've got that in there. So, inside the folder for today, it says videos for each level of lesson 5. Open it up. They're super short. You can watch what's happening. Easy peasy. Okay? So good luck. Get to work. And I will get a chance to kind of go through and update things as I see them and see your work in code.org. Good luck. Work hard. And happy coding.